Hello everyone, my name is Evan. Jacob is unfortunately in the hospital right now, so I am taking over the channel for a little bit.
That's not what I meant.
Hello everyone, my name is Evan. Jacob has been arrested for possession of any drug imaginable, so I will indefinitely be taking over the channel for right now. It's kind of like I'm the substitute teacher that comes in and has absolutely no idea what they're doing, but we're gonna make it through this together. So what I want to talk about today is something a little bit different, and it was because of Phil Spencer from the Xbox conference at E3, when he prematurely dropped a little hint about like Project Scarlet and the next generation of consoles. And so what I wanted to look at a little bit is the future of gaming. So of course, like, we're not going to cover everything, right? This is a huge topic, and in like a 10-minute video, we're not going to be able to hit everything. So what I want to focus on specifically is the gaming experience and access to gaming in the future. So let's start with consoles. Consoles right now are amazing in terms of gameplay, graphics, mechanics, integration with home entertainment. Like, we could go on and on about how great they are. But personally, I think the next generation needs to be something different, right? Like, the Nintendo Switch is already doing a pretty good job at this. They've taken the traditional idea of a console and not flipped it on its head, but they've like upgraded it or leveled it up a little bit. And it's made the game experience a lot more portable, a lot more versatile. And when we're talking about Microsoft and PlayStation, like, those are the companies that need to follow suit almost. And not in the same way, like, I'm not saying that they need to follow the Switch exactly. But it's time for the next generation. It's time for something to be different. The other thing I think the next generation consoles should have is something that I personally like to call the cross-generational compatibility. I've just learned breaking news that it's also called backwards compatibility, and I did not know that. But that's basically just the idea that you can play games across generations of consoles. I think that's really important, right? And it makes buying the next console a little bit more worth it, because you'll still be able to play the games that you would have been able to play on the past generations, and you'll be able to continue playing with your friends on those stations. In terms of the companies themselves, like, they'll be also benefiting from it. Their past games and their past titles will still be making a little bit of money, and it'll encourage people to buy and play on those consoles that are able to play on a bunch of different platforms. So that's what I think the future generation should have, with features that come along with these consoles. But along with that, I want us to talk about something called immersive gaming. Now, we see that a lot of already with things like VR, and VR is becoming more popular. I mean, personally, my only experience was with Job Simulator, and it was nice because it's giving me experience for the workforce, and I can put that on my resume, things like that. But VR itself is becoming more advanced, specifically with how it's set up. So they've just come out with this innovation about a single USB cable for the headsets that plugs in like right in the back. And if that sounds reminiscent of something, you're right. That's literally like the Matrix. That is the needle going into the back of the head, plugging you into the Matrix. People, we are at that point in our reality. Not only would this single USB cable be less cluttering and take up more space, it would also be able to run a lot faster than the configuration that it's running on right now. And the other thing that's coming with VR is something that's called Microsoft HoloLens. If you haven't seen anything about this yet, it's basically Google Glass. Yeah, it's it's the Microsoft version of Google Glass, but it's taking it steps further than Google Glass ever really went for. And so it's something called mixed reality. It's not virtual, it's mixed reality. So what would happen is, like, you're seeing the actual reality around you, and then you're having all your screens shot up on the walls, you're playing games over here, you're searching the internet over here, you're checking Tinder over here. I mean, you can have everything going at once and still be in your reality. So now it's not like you're looking down at your phone and you can't see everything around you. Your reality and the virtual world are mixed. And to me, that is dangerous. Because like for myself, like I am personally like very easily distracted. And so if I'm doing any task that revolves any amount of focus, and then I get a text message that comes up right next to my activity, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna get totally thrown off of that. And so it's really cool, but people have tried this and they've done some reviews on that. And they've said that it's really great, but it's tiring, right? Because you're not giving your retinas or your irises any break. You're constantly moving around. You're constantly looking at different things. You're constantly activated. So you can't really take a break at all. So you can imagine after, 3 hours of wearing those, you're exhausted, right? Because things are popping up and distracting everywhere. And HoloLens right now, for a single pair, runs for $3,000, which is steep. That is a lot. I mean, it's, I think, deserved. I mean, it's innovative and it's one of the first of its kind, other than Google Glass or the Snapchat sunglasses, but it's a steep price. And if you're thinking that you're gonna buy these soon, or if you think that this is gonna go out into the public and to the general population, probably not super soon. Unless they bring that price down and unless they figure out fixing some of the kinks that are happening with HoloLens, that's probably not going to come out to us for another year or so, if not longer. So the other thing when we're talking about immersive gaming is something that's not brand new, but personally I have not seen a lot on, and it's the gaming suits. So it's taking more than just your visual senses, and now you can have touch, you can have you can feel part of this game now. And there's a group that's actually trying to build this. They're called Erig, and they're making a suit that's literally hooked up to your game, and it has basically 3 different layers to it, and all those layers can contribute to vibrations when you get hit or something, muscle contractions. Let's say if you got shot in the arm, the suit would allow your muscles to contract right there, and you would kind of feel getting shot, which sounds very painful. So don't know if I would be playing anything other than Pikmin or something a little bit safer while wearing the suit. But just the idea that now we're involving our other senses into these games, it's exciting. And like I said before, that reality of Ready Player One, where our reality that we live in now is almost not as separated as the virtual reality, it's coming. I mean, it's almost here. The Erig suit, no release date yet, no pricing. It is still in the works. And you can imagine how difficult it is to build an entire gaming suit. So there's a big future for it, but it's not done, and we're not going to see it for a while. So do not get excited. So that's what I wanted to look at in terms of consoles and innovations that are happening technologically. But now I want to look at access to games and how that will be evolving in the future. And one of the biggest issues that we're going to need to address is game influx, or there is just too many freaking games. Ars Technica came out with a report stating that 37% of the games sold on Steam are unplayed. Think about that. Over a third of the games that people buy on Steam are just not touched. And yeah, that makes sense. You're buying a bundle and you're buying it for that one specific game, and then the 5 or 6 other games that come with it, you don't give a shit about. You are throwing them in the library and they are never seen again. But that's becoming an issue that we all need to deal with now. Not just in Steam, but all these different types of developers pumping out these games week after week after week. And yeah, maybe not all of them are of the greatest quality, but what happens then is when there are those gems and those really good games, we could all miss them. And unfortunately, like, none of us have the time. Like, let's just be honest here. None of us have the time to play all of these games. If it took me 3.5 weeks to get off the first island in Pokemon Sun, I definitely don't have a time to finish a whole series of games before the next one comes out. But, like, there's no way that any of us can keep up with the amount of games that are coming out. And so some of the solutions that are to this are something called subscription gaming. A Polygon article came out and they talked about the importance of subscription gaming, and it gives players the ability to play this kind of flat rate for let's say a month, but it allows you to have access to so many more games. Not only is it more time saving, but it allows people to play so much more. So we already have services like this, right? We have Atomic, Gamefly, and then we have specific company ones like Xbox Game Pass and Ubisoft's OnePlay. And this is the future, right? It's going to be more economically and, in honesty, like more enjoyably feasible for you to pay that flat rate and then just play as many games as you want. The issue that would suck then is if you want to cancel these subscriptions, but you don't want to lose your progress, and then these services are holding you basically hostage because you can't access your saved games. But don't worry about that. That probably won't happen. And finally, I want to address an issue that is something that no one has in the gaming industry has really dealt before. And it's because we haven't needed to come across it yet. And it's this idea of an aging audience. So gaming has been around at least since the 80s, if not a little bit earlier. And you had people that were children during those times and have grown up with those games. And they have been gaming ever since. So they've grown up with games. Now they're adults. And some of them are middle-aged and they have their own families. And some of them maybe, and you also have older gamers as well. You have people that are in their 50s or 60s or even past those ages that are enjoying games. And so what we need to realize now is that we're living in a world where people that grew up with games are now on the older side of the age spectrum. There are hardly any people in the world now that have not experienced gaming. So what that means is the people that are playing these games and the audience ranges across all generations. And so the challenge is going to be, how do you create an industry that appeals to people in their middle ages, as well as to people that are in elementary school or in middle school or at those young ages? How do you cater to all walks of life? And that's it. I did not talk about a lot of things in this editorial, like gaming genres changing, mechanics, esports. There's a lot that I did not mention today. So if there's something I really didn't mention that you guys would like to see, put in the comments, and I'm positive that we can get to it in a future episode. But if there's one message I want you guys to take away, is that the future's bright. Seriously, in terms of all these advancements, the gaming industry and the gaming experience it's going to become more immersive, more enjoyable, and more accessible. I mean, to people like all ages, to people around the world. The future is bright, and it's exciting to see the ways that it's moving in. And of course, please play for Jake. please play for Jacob, the new charity event that I'm starting. It's where you play as many games as you can, and all the proceeds go towards Jacob and anything he wants, because he is a star and he deserves it. But what I really want to say is pray for Jacob. He has been absorbed in this game that I've never even heard of before. It's called God of War, but I'm worried. I mean, I don't even know who he is anymore. He has a son now. He just throws an axe around the house like a goddamn maniac. Send help. He's terrifying, and I am scared for my life. See you next time.
Or send the money.